This is the Cliff Yates Show. Personal growth, motivation, inspiration, and philosophies for a great life.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Cliff Yates Show, and I'm excited to talk with my guest today. He is a speaker, he is an author, he's got a book, a website, he is into organizational leadership and transformation, transforming lives and creating your own miracles. We're going to talk about that. So happy you're here, Mr. Rahul Sharma. Thanks, Rahul, for joining me.
Thank you, Cliff, for having me. I'm very excited for our show. You have been doing great things for the community, and I'm very excited to partner with you.
Thank you so much. And what came first, your coaching or the book? The book was just last year, right? That came out, Habits for Miracles?
Absolutely. So the coaching came first.
Okay.
Coaching came in as soon as I started my second career. So my first career was in India. Then I came here for my master's. And after my master's, I joined another organization with whom I spent amazing 20 years. So that's when the coaching aspect started. And I was not knowing that I'm coaching. That's the funny part. And after coaching for almost a decade, Cliff, I went for a formal certification in coaching.
Oh, great.
And when I went there, I realized that the way I was doing coaching was not the way the Association of Talent Development is teaching. And the major difference was when I was coaching prior to that certification, I was thinking that, man, if someone has come to me for help, it's my job. I need to make sure that I give them all the answers. I lay down the foundation for them. Wherein, when I went for coaching certification, I was told that we as a coach, we are more like a facilitator. We don't give answers to them, but we encourage them with positive mindset. We ask provocative questions and help them get the answer. So that was a big difference for me, and that's from since then I have my mindset got changed, and I've been more mindful of not giving the answers, but helping them get the answers.
I'm glad you're reinforcing something. I'm going through a coaching program now for it's the Primal Health Coach Institute, and you are right in line with what they teach in their coaching pillar, which is really it's client-led coaching. In other words, what are their goals? And our inclination is to dump all this information on them to show how much we know, when we just need to walk beside them and ask the proper questions, right? And you hit on that.
Yep, absolutely. And I think this is, I would say, for all the coaches and leaders, we face this challenge because we have so much of information. We think that let's cut it short, let's give them the answers.
Exactly.
Rather than investing time in listening to them, understanding their pain points, and then providing them the right questions. So that I think in coaching, I got to know is the art of asking questions.
Yes. Yeah, and it seems to me, let me know if you think this, if I'm on track with this, because it seems to me that, the job of a coach is pretty simple, that we want the client to know that they already have everything they need to accomplish what they want to accomplish. And then we find out exactly what they want, what they need to do to get there, and then we hold them accountable to doing those things. Is that kind of on track, you think?
Absolutely. We can't give them the answers. We can't do things on their behalf. We as a coach, I see it that we make them disciplined in executing things, and we hold them accountable.
Yes.
And at times, we may not be those sugar-coated people. We may be the people who may be telling them their critical inputs. We will be providing them critical feedback. And as long as there is a trust between the coach and coachee, I think things will go a long way.
Absolutely. What was your first career in India? What was your first career?
So I did my MBA in human resources.
Okay.
My first job was as an executive HR, human resources in an IT information technology firm in Mumbai. And I was part of the corporate HR team for the initial 6 months of my management training. Then I was deputed to one of the unit called Telecom and Embedded Systems. So I was managing the HR for close to 150 people in that
Wow.
unit.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you come to the United States, or what was your impetus to do that?
So one thought that I was very very clear that I don't want to leave my first job before 3 years. So
Gotcha.
something that my dad had ingrained in me, that you are here to learn, money will come to you, you will get a lot of good offers as you grow, but spend minimum 3 years. So that's what I did. And after 3 years, I was maybe it was the mindset that 3 years. So probably I was started getting bored, and I
Yeah.
started looking out. I gave a couple of interviews, didn't materialize, and then I thought maybe let me invest on my own self, and I thought of studying further. And the field that I was interested in was organization development. And when I was doing my research, I noticed that US has some great colleges and universities which provide study in the field of OD, organization development. So I applied for a PhD program. To be honest, I applied for total 8 universities, 7 PhD, only
Wow.
one master's.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I couldn't get in PhD because I never had any psychology courses in my undergrad or my grad, and that was one of the criteria for those universities that I applied. So then I joined Bowling Green State University's master's program. They are well known in the industry for their industrial and organization psychology program. I did the MOD, Masters in Organization Development, in Bowling Green State University.
Yeah, I never knew what an organizational psychologist was. And I was in the LA Sheriff's Department in Los Angeles, and we were under a consent decree by the courts to implement a sexual harassment policy. And so it was originally implemented by a consulting group, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and the people who came out, they were actually organizational psychologists who developed the program and basically implemented it first through the use of a facilitation. That's how it was rolled out. And so then
Yeah.
I learned all about that. So pretty amazing stuff.
Yes, yes, it is, and it's a study in itself, like learning
Yeah.
about an organization. You can read through their news or probably their website, but you can't make any suggestion just from that. Unless and until you meet the people, you meet the leadership, you know the culture of that organization, because each and everything is dependent on the culture of the organization.
That's correct. Yeah, it was kind of that's the whole idea was to implement a change in the culture of the LA Sheriff's Department. And so and man, this at one point I became a facilitator because they were transitioning from the PricewaterhouseCoopers consulting group to having us train ourselves, right? Train the trainer, or train so we could train our organization. But I remember taking their bill over to the headquarters in the sheriff's department for just the month. It was 50 grand just for them to be teaching, and they did it for about 2 years, so they made a pretty good penny on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But
That's
it,
what the big fours are known for.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, but really, it was really good, and it went along with leadership that I was involved with the department too, because I really got into what the importance of that facilitation it was, because it really hit all of the learning modes, right? So we had people that they heard it, they saw it written down, then they talked about it, and then they hands-on, wrote things down, and then they set it back to the facilitator. And because of that repetition in different modes, you learn more, right? And it stays with you.
Absolutely. Repetition is a mother of learning.
Yeah.
What that piece is, we call it 3 T's in training. You tell them,
Tell them.
you tell them what you have told them, and then you tell them again what you have told them. So
Gotcha.
it's
Yeah.
all about repetition, or probably the another deviation is you ask them what you have
Yeah.
told them, because there is this law of forgettable curve. Like people who learn things, they forget 80% of it within 24 hours.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the only way for someone to retain any information for a longer period is when they do it themselves.
Yeah,
So
you're right. And then there's a, I always, when I got into personal growth and motivation, I always went back. Well, who started this? Did somebody say this before? And then I kept going back and back. And I got into this guy named Paul Meyer. He was kind of a, oh my God, he had a company called Success Leadership something, but and he was, man, he did a whole talk on this. Like when you leave here, in 3 days, you're only going to remember like maybe 2% of what I've said. And then he said, you need to hear this like 7 to 8 times. He was really into that. And I learned when in public speaking, when I got into it and I studied the psychology behind it, it was basically in your talk, right? I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. Then you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them, right? And then that's kind of goes along with your 3 T's.
correct. Absolutely, absolutely.
So, just not to be not judgmental, but it seems like it's in the culture, the Indian culture. Are you brought up like through parents or culture, to be always learning, like lifelong learning? It just seems to go that you're business oriented and you're service oriented and a discipline that comes in the culture. Does that seem accurate?
Yes, for me, and yes, you're right. The service orientation is comes in the culture. For me, both my parents, they were very giver. They both are givers, so they give a lot, and that's where I learned the art of that servant attitude. And my father always used to tell me that it's not about who you're giving. You should not be thinking that you need to give only to needy people or only to poor people. Whoever you can give, just give. So have
Right.
that. And independence. I was put into boarding school right at my eighth grade. So
Oh, wow.
I'm out of home since childhood, and that really built that culture of independence in me. Being independent really came from there. And then my school was basically we used to have students from all across India, and then we had some international students as well. So meeting and dealing with different people with different cultures really helped me and honed me in becoming a holistic person
Yes.
rather than just learning from my own community or my own family. So yes, the family really plays a vital role.
Yeah, I heard that in one of your interviews. I'm going to talk about that. I relate that because my wife is born in Cuba and she came when she was 6 years old. But even in that culture, I think because a lot of the times they would negotiate, right? Well, I have a pig and you have vegetables, and then I'll trade you, and then they become entrepreneurial, right? And so they come over here and they thrive in business, right? Because they're used to seeing the opportunity and taking advantage of that, and then they've already kind of had a business sense, and it seems like the Indian culture has that also.
So, in fact, coincidentally, we were chatting, me and my wife, a few weeks ago. In India, because of our interaction happens with so many different people, the smartness comes in naturally for people.
Yeah,
Like here, my kids, their interaction is very limited. I am
yeah,
dropping them to school, I am taking them to classes, whereas in India, our chauffeur will take them. They are with nannies in school. They are meeting with different people. So since you are meeting with different people for multiple period of time, your smartness becomes very very natural to them.
yeah,
Uh, in the community, it's very common in India to play in community. Like here, the community I live in, my kids can play to. They can go to the basketball court where the neighborhood kids comes in India, we don't worry about a basketball court. As long as we are out of house, in the street we used to play, we used to meet with all sorts of people, not just the people staying within the community, but other kids also used to come. So that's the major difference I see in my own kids And then when we were talking about our own self when we were growing up, that's where things got better. And reading of people, making sure that you have that acumen to judge, not judge, but to understand whether the intention, what is the intention of people, because it's very important to know when you are interacting with people, what is their intent. Is it a good intent or is it a malicious intent? And then it really makes a difference.
Boy, you are so right on that. You're right on it in the, you're talking about those communication skills, and I like what you said, reading people, because you're brought up at a young age. Because we're always communicating, right? So now you're reading body language, verbal and otherwise. And man, I really learned that in the sheriff's department. When you go to the LA Sheriff's Department, you have to start in the jails first, and you have to be there sometimes up to 5 years. Where the LAPD, you could be 21, you graduate, and you go right to patrol. And so when we're in the jails, we are interacting with the criminals and the gangs, and it's kind of a neutral. They'll talk to you about how they commit crimes and how they operate. And so by the time you go to patrol in the streets, you recognize the language of the gangs, and you have your communication IQ is very high, and that you seem to hit on that in your culture. You have learned this already.
Yes, yeah, and you know the insight. So when you are aware, like in your, and a perfect example that you just gave, that you are talking to people who have done it all. You are understanding the secret sauce, and probably then you are actually on the field. You know that okay, this person will operate this way. So yeah, that's amazing. The way you guys are being trained.
I like you hit on a couple interviews that you've really come to, how important, and a realization, okay, life is short, and you really put a high value on connecting and staying in touch with your family and taking time to be together and to create, I think you said something about the special moments, right? Go into that, because I think, man, that's sometimes what people lose in, I like high achievers, but sometimes maybe they get so focused and driven that they compromise those things, correct?
Absolutely. And just yesterday night, I got a survey from a friend of mine about work-life balance.
Yes.
And there were a few questions, and one of the question was that, what are you doing to maintain your work-life balance?
Right.
And my response was, I focus on the quality time.
Correct.
So, for example, 2:15 or 2:20, my kids come in from school. I make sure that for 15-20 minutes, I'm spending time with them when they're coming from school. Morning, I'm spending time with them. For my spouse, we go to coffee every day. That is our own us time.
We do too. We do. Yeah.
So sometimes what happens is, we as leaders or we as people, we don't live in the moment.
Yes.
We are already thinking either about the past or about the future.
Yeah, you're right on. Yeah.
So we don't think about it. And many a times I have seen, and I'm also culprit. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but sometimes my kids are very excited to talk to me, and I'm in middle of something, and I said, okay, hold on. And then when I go to them, their excitement is gone. So the learning that I have from this is, just reciprocate the energy of people when they are interacting with you.
Yeah, that's great.
No matter what are you in, just even if you can spend that 2 minutes or 2 seconds, just for that moment, if you can reciprocate that energy, it will be so amazing for all leaders and managers.
Oh man, I like what you just said there, because it sparked an idea in my head now. So, so we get good at, we recognize negative energy and people that are kind of have a negative influence. And so we learn to limit that. But we really need to learn is also, when somebody's projecting positive energy, take the time now to take that in and push it back to them. So we need to do that too. Learn to be focused on that. Yeah. I just came to me that we get that one skill. Okay, I limited the negative people or negative energy. Well, listen, we got to be open to the positive energy and take that in and be in that. I'm learning more and more to take the time, like you say, to be where I'm at. Okay, for this hour, I'm here with Rahul Sharma. This is where I'm totally focused on you, even though I know peripheral, oh, I have these other things. I'm here, be present, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is one of the common mistake I see a lot of young leaders, young managers, they do. Because if you see in today's corporate world, who are becoming managers or who are becoming leaders, typically the high performers, individual contributors, automatically they go to that leadership role.
Yeah,
Now, one of the mistake that we do is we do not train them well before they take up the role.
right.
We train them after they are in the role. So what happens then, that they are only doing things that they have learned from their previous managers.
Correct.
And if
Yeah.
they are good, amazing. But if they are not good, then the people whom they are leading will just, God bless them.
Yeah, no, you're so right. And then the sheriff's department, although they're big, the LA sheriff was big on leadership, and that was kind of their mantra that everyone's a leader in the organization. But when it came to this, people got promoted in supervision. The training didn't happen till after they were already promoted instead of beforehand. I mean, in a way, they did have inroads there, but they could have done a better job, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And in corporate America, and I have been there. I was heading the learning and development. Still, I was not able to push things that give me the list of people that you want to promote. And I was just after my leaders, give me the list. But all the time it was just last minute. We used to get to know that, okay, this person is getting promoted, and it's too late for for us to provide them training, because they are already on the job, and they have already learned it. See, the another thing I have learned, Cliff, is it's fairly easy to learn something, but it is very difficult to unlearn.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Yeah. To unlearn it. That's right.
so once you have learned not so good techniques of leadership, then you will just do the way that you have learned. And
Yeah.
one of the aspect that I've seen, that the ethical piece, the ethical leadership piece, is completely missing out of the chart in today's environment, for maybe, I don't know the exact reason, but I've been seeing a lot of articles nowadays, on social media around ethical leadership. So sometimes we just do things that will benefit us, rather than
Yeah.
thinking a larger picture.
Yeah. And I think you're into the same thing. I mean, I've been really, God, I almost want to be under the headline of servant leadership, right? How can I serve you? It's like when we get together, how can I serve Raul? How can I push people to his websites and his books? And, how can I be of service to him? Not how can he help my show, but, and so servant, and I try to do that with my wife and I. We kind of outservice each other. I'm going to outservice you. And so it's kind of a fun thing to do, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that thought process. So this is one thing I learned in one of my training, that sometimes we feel that we have to do something. When we think that we have to do, that's where things go wrong. But if you think that you get to do things, like I
That's
get
right.
to drop my kids to school, I get to pick up my kids to school, versus I have to. So when that high I have to comes, then that negativity comes into your mind, that, man, why only me? Why my wife cannot go and pick up kids? So I think the mindset is, I get to versus I have to.
Yeah, you touched on a couple great things, and I do that. The power of the questions, because your mind will always come up with an answer, right? Why, if I ask why am I so screwed up, it's not going to argue. It'll try to come up with the answer. So ask empowering questions, or that empowering self-talk. Oh, I get to work out today. I have an opportunity, man, like you said. And if you change that talk to your mind, and don't you touch on mindset shifts and mind talk, don't you? That's kind of your thing.
Yes, yes. So I think when you were talking about that positive energy, like we need to learn to embrace the positive energy.
Yes.
The thought that was coming to my mind is that when your mind is positive, it stays positive for 4 to 5 hours.
Oh,
It's
okay.
so that's where this is research. It's not just me talking about it. The research
Yeah.
shows that if a mind is having a positive thought or positive mood, it stays longer into that mode. And when your mind is positive, then you are thinking positive, then your
Right.
actions are positive, so everything around you becomes positive. Versus when your mind is not right, then, and this is one thing I always say, that never quit on a bad day.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's right.
Because when you are having a bad day, you are all negative, you will be, if you quit on that day, you will not be doing good to yourself. So
Yeah. You're
never
right.
on a bad day. And the mind talk, the way I look at it is, as you were saying, talking positive to ourselves. And I do it twice in a day. I do it first thing in the morning, and then when I'm going to bed. And just pushing myself to do things and to take action, because just talking positive will not give me result. Talking
Right.
positive is one thing, but the main aspect is you taking action based on those thoughts. uh,
Yes.
because if you don't take action, then probably things will not move, things will just be standstill.
Yeah. You're right. I can't remember the guy's name. Maybe you know. And Tony Robbins called it incantations, but this guy, I mean, he had, I can't think of his name. I almost want to think he's from India, but he had a thing like he would say 20, 30 times, every day in every way I'm getting better and better. Every day in every way I'm getting better and better. And it had an effect. And he did a study on, he actually healed people through positive self-talk. Can you believe that? I mean, he actually documented those things.
Absolutely, I definitely believe this in this, and I have encountered this personally. That when you talk positively, because you do what you believe.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
if you believe that yes, this is possible, then it will happen. And one of my coach taught me this, that when you really want to do something, when you take a step closer to your goal, the goal also takes a step closer to you.
To you. Oh, wow. That's kind of a nice,
So
different paradigm
as you are
shift. Yeah.
moving, goal is becoming, the distance between you and goal is shrinking. So
Yeah.
it's just all about taking consistent action.
Let me ask you about, because you're into transformational leadership and coaching, because I actually had been in a negative place through my thinking in the sheriff's department and became, kind of in a dark place mentally. And then I thought, well, I'm going to show them. I always tell this story. And then I got into real estate. I thought, I'm going to get my real estate license and make a lot of money and show them. I'll quit. And then my broker sent me to Jim Rohn, and that led me to, I thought it was going to be sales training, but actually it was life training. And then it got me on the road to Tony Robbins, who had worked for Jim Rohn. But then, man, as soon as my thinking changed, then everything changed for me. And then, so I experienced the transformation. And so I went from, my supervisors were calling in my friends, telling them to stay away from me, to 10 years later, the sheriff is having me perform comedy at his luncheon, to having me help him in a fundraiser, to me getting promoted. So I experienced it. And that's why I get excited to share it, because were you always on a positive road, or did you transform yourself?
So, with God's grace, I was on a positive road.
Good.
There was a time when I came back again to States. There was a time where there was a dent on my career. When I say dent, means the work that I was doing was not something that was I was to my liking, and my role got changed within 24 hours. and
Yeah.
and, and that too, that was not like openly discussed with me. I was just told that, hey man, this person quit, and the job that you were supposed to do, you will not do, you will do this new thing. So I just took it with a I embraced that. But
Yeah.
then that period was something which was a little not so good for me professionally. And I was, in that time, I had a lot of negative thoughts, that man, I
Yeah.
should quit, or why did I made this choice. But then I think your
Yeah.
partner is also very, very important, and my partner helped me in showing me the different perspective, and then things started getting better. But it was all in the mind.
That's
That is
right.
what I believe in. So
Me
if
too.
if you think positive, things will happen positive. But if once that negativity creeps in, then everything around you will be not so good.
Yeah.
So my moral or my learning is you have to be surrounded with people who gives you positivity. So
Yes.
so in my case, my wife was that person. She showed me a different perspective. Otherwise, if I didn't had that perspective, probably I don't know where would I be today.
Yeah.
So
It does start with the thinking, the mindset. Just change the thinking will change the doing, which changes the outcome. So it's kind of a chain link of starting with the mind as almost like that kinetic chain. There's a first movement. That's probably the first movement would be the mind shift. That's kind of that's another focus of your coaching, right? Mind shift. I had a note.
absolutely, absolutely, and I think the mindset shift is very, very important for us if we want to transform ourselves. I have seen many people who wants to transform, but they don't want to change, and, and that's really they are backtracking on their own on statement that they want
Yeah.
to change, they don't want to, I mean, they want to transform but they don't want to change. So sometimes what happens is when we are not surrounded with people with positivity, we are unable to think positive. We
Yeah.
are only thinking negative, that okay, this will happen to me only. That plane is crashing, it will, my plane will crash. So when
Yeah.
you are thinking all these negative things, you are passing negative energy. And let's say when you were talking about your own experience, the time when you were your so-called dark times that you said, was when you were exhibiting the negative energy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
When you transform yourself, when you started exhibiting the positive energy, people started coming to you.
Yeah.
So so I believe that the energy that we bring in anything, whether you are a leader or an individual contributor, with what energy we walk in the room or we present ourselves is very, very important. So that mindset shift has to happen in you first.
Yeah.
And that believe that yes, it's possible, and I can do it. I think those limiting beliefs really bother a lot of us, and we cannot move forward with that.
Yeah, and it can be leverage. It's like if you get to the point where that's it. I'm not no more. You're angry. If you can actually now you have leverage on yourself to make the change, whereas before everything's kind of okay, and so you don't have leverage on yourself. People really need that to change because, as you said, they're very hesitant. I read a story. I don't know if you read it. It was like this village, and they had some kind of disease was within the huts, and it's really terminal, and they had a whole brand new village built that they could all move to, but they decided not to do it because they didn't want the change, even though this was going to kill them.
Yeah, I think most of us. So in leadership, as you know, there is a big statement that people resist change.
Yes. Oh man. Yeah.
And I did a course a few years back on change management. And when I was doing my research, I noticed that it's not, people don't resist change. People resist change when they are told to change.
Yeah.
People are typically excited for change when they are going on a vacation, or when they are buying a new house or a new car, or they are visiting a new restaurant. They're
Yeah.
excited about it.
Yeah.
The challenge happens is when they're told to change. And
Yeah.
that is the number one reason why 90 plus percentage of change management initiative in corporate world do not succeed, because the leadership, they do not involve all the people who will be impacted by that change.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I forgot we did some training on that. I guess who are the stakeholders in all of this, right? That was kind of a term they used.
Yeah.
Yeah, who this is going to affect, right? People who have some blood in the game. Hey, how about let's talk about, because this is so important, habit formation. And it's not like because we're emotional beings and we're human. It's not that I'm up all the time or I'm always positive, but it's predominant, and I think it's because I've habituated those states. Is that important?
Yes. So one thing and then listener needs to know that it's not possible all 24/7, 365 to be positive.
Correct.
We are human beings, so we are impacted by external, events.
Yeah.
Uh, as long as we can limit that negativity within us, is something that we should be mindful of. And for habit formation, one of the big challenge I see is we try to do too many things at once.
Correct. Yep.
So we need to scale it down to just one thing at a time. Start small, but be consistent and be focused on this. So, for example, if you want to start walking, I mean, if you have a goal that I will walk for an hour every day, I mean, yes, you can, but limit yourself to something that you can do.
Correct.
That maybe it could be 10 minutes. You do 15, that is great, but put your goal for 10. You can always do more, but consistently, when you have a goal like this and you are achieving here, automatically you are putting to your subconscious mind that you are falling short, you are falling short, and that probably will lead to demotivation.
No, you're
So
right. Yeah, I did a video on this about going to the gym. I said, hey, even if you're not a member yet, even just go to the gym and walk around or get a tour of the gym. Hey, and the next day, if you join up, just tell yourself that you're going to go in and look around again. I mean, maybe you'll work out a little bit, but you're right. Don't say, I'm going to do an hour a day. Hey, can you do just commit to the 5 minutes for the next 3 or 4 days. You're probably going to be in there 20, but if you commit to this walking in the door, you can do that, right? Yeah, that goes along with it.
absolutely, I think half the battle is done when you reach the door.
Correct. Yeah, showing up, they call it, right? If you just show up.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with neuroassociative conditioning? Have you heard of that?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of goes along with anchoring. It kind of goes what I was talking about, habit forming. It was, like you said, we can't be always in those states. But you know what? If you have tools, in other words, the anchoring would be, as an example, Tony Robbins gives an example of a negative anchor. Let's say you're at a funeral, you're feeling bad, you're feeling depressed. People pat you on the shoulder. Hey, you're feeling bad, pat on the shoulder. Maybe 100 people go by and tap you on the shoulder. 10 years later, someone could pat you on the shoulder just that way. You're depressed and you don't know why, but that was anchored with that touch. So you can do the same, right? You can play positive, inspiring music and maybe touch your finger. Or I used to do, before I performed, I would do a shake of the hand. I played music, shake of the hand. So the next time I shook my hand, I could be in that state and people could do that. Okay, I've got a interview next Monday at 9 a.m. Hey, I need to be in a powerful state at 9 a.m. next Monday. And now you have a tool to get you there. Right before your interview, you do your movement. You've anchored a feeling with that.
Yeah. That's very positive. That's very, very positive. But most of the people, they are not able to associate with that anchor.
Correct.
Because because it is not a physical tool, right? It's not like a phone that probably you will be holding.
Yes.
It is more emotional as well as more subconscious.
Yeah. Although you could marry it with the physical movement, or you know what I mean, if you could get yourself in that state and then marry that state with a movement, right, or a touch of something.
Correct.
How about your book Habits for Miracles, which habits number 4, the number 4 miracles. What are we going to find in that book?
So I've used miracles as an acronym. So there is
Okay.
8 habits that
Okay.
will help you in design your life your way. And the reason I wrote this book, Cliff, was during my 20 years of corporate America career, I have hired many entry level graduates, and I have taken interviews. I've been to campus, and I have seen their what they can do for us. Unfortunately, within 6 months, half of them either they quit on us or we quit on them.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And the potential that they had, we were not able to unleash. Some, I would say, part on the company, and some, I would say, part on the individual. So I wrote this book to help them design their life their way.
Good.
my focus is also right now, I'm focusing on aspiring leaders, aspiring managers, people who want to become leaders. I have a program for them because I do believe that early on, if you can learn things, it is better. So college students, if before they actually get into the corporate world or anything, if they learn these habits, if they inculcate good habits early on, it would reap them the benefits throughout the life.
Yeah, that's good. And I know a lot of, because I know a lot of, it's good. I think a lot of companies will take on interns. And so what do they find out? They find out this person's work ethic. They find out they show up on time. And so they kind of get a free look at, prospective applicants or members of their business. And it also gives, the student a chance to show and kind of on the job show what they could do, or, display their attitude and their work at and all that. And it leads to people getting jobs.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have hired a couple of interns, and gave them full-time offers. So yes,
Yeah.
definitely a good way to recruit people.
What the acronym Miracles, what does that stand for? Do you know offhand? Can we go on?
Yes. So the M stands for Mind Talk.
Mind Talk.
The I stands for ideation. So I do believe in the ideation. You need to think and you need to get better ideas. The R stands for reading. I believe we are just one book away to become knowledgeable in any topic.
Yes.
The A stands for analyzation. I do believe that it's so important for us to know who we are, and most of us, we don't know who we are. So we need to analyze our strengths, areas of opportunities, and who we are as an individual, what motivates us, what we like, what we don't like.
Yeah.
So that's what analyzation is. The C is calmness. So I believe that being calm in situation
Yeah.
helps you, rather than taking a very spontaneous decision. So I was a different person, and I have also changed a lot. So bringing calmness in me is helped me a lot.
Me too. Me too. Yeah. That's really been a big one for me. Yeah.
Correct. The L stands for listening, and I have given the twist from listening to yes, listening to others is important, but in my book I've spoken about listening to self.
Yeah.
You need
That's
to
right.
listen to yourself. You need to make sure that you are having time to you with your own self. So that is important. The E stands for exercise, and I talk about 5 to 10 minutes physical activity.
Yep.
Not
That's right.
you have to go to gym. Today or nowadays I'm hearing about that chair yoga. So you don't have to go anywhere. Within your sitting in your chair, you can do yoga poses, or you can do some physical activity. So that is what exercise is for. And S is silence. I
Oh, very
do
good.
believe that silence is golden.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is.
so
Absolutely.
sometimes we need to be silent as well, not just keep on talking, talking, talking.
That's right.
Yeah.
Habits for Miracles. I like it. Can they get it on Amazon? I know it's on your website. We'll point people
Yes,
there.
they can put it on Amazon or anywhere the books are sold. They can get it.
Great.
And if they log into my website, they can also get a free accountability book, because I do believe when we are doing habit formation, you need to have an accountability partner, and you need to hold yourself accountable. So they can get a free ebook, accountability ebook.
Oh, by the way, I downloaded your accountability workbook, which is free on your website. I love it. I've got it on my desktop right now. And if
Nice.
people go to your website, they'll be prompted. Please put your email in it, and you can download it immediately, free. And I think right there is just you're providing value, which is appreciated.
Yeah.
And you really do. It's amazing how much, how they say, the pleasures in the giving. And so you really do. When you're serving other people, it's like you get it back tenfold. It's not really fair. And you know what I learned from Tony Robbins was, because you know how you like to do for other people, you treat them to dinner or lunch, and you have a great pleasure with that. And what a lot of us don't get to know is, don't rob other people of that pleasure, right? They try to buy us some. No, that's okay. And now I've learned to let them do it, because why would I rob them of the pleasure of giving, right?
Absolutely. this point came into me. I mean, when you were talking about it, asking for help.
Yeah.
So sometimes, we don't ask for help because we may be thinking differently. And I always believe that ask for help not to look weak, but to become stronger. And the way Tony talk about, the pleasure of giving.
Yes.
Similarly, when people are asking you or asking for help, help them, and you also will be thinking good because they want to help you. So
Correct.
don't
Yeah.
limit them to help you. So that's why it's so important to ask for help.
So good. Yeah. Well, we're going to get ready to wrap up here. And before we go, do you? I know you do businesses, and how about individuals? Can they be coached by you too? Do you do individuals?
Yes, I do individuals. Right now, I have a free master class that I'm running
Oh,
uh,
good. All right.
coming up on the next Tuesday as well. So this is basically for aspiring managers, and I will be talking about the ABCs of
Great.
aspiring managers. So if there are any individual contributors or leaders, I definitely do that. Just recently, I coached one of the individual who was not having a job from last
Wow.
3 months, and
Wow.
then she was thinking doing a business and a job, and we met almost 4 weeks ago, and I asked her that, can you tell me what exactly you want? Do
Yes.
you want a job or you want to focus on the business?
Yeah.
And then she told me that I want a job, and said, then make sure that you put all your energy in finding the job,
Right.
because
Yeah.
what she was doing was her core time was in the morning, and all morning she was focusing on her business, which is probably will happen maybe in 3 months, 6 months. But the job is something probably she can get in 3 to 4 weeks, and probably get her remuneration
Yeah.
coming. And what changed for her was I just gave a direction that March 11th should be your first day at job.
Put that in her head, and it became self-fulfilling. Yeah.
And she was taken aback. What? March 1st? Yes. March 1st, you are starting your job.
Yep.
And no, sorry, March 11th. March 11th is what I said. And March 11th, she sent me a text that I'm not starting my job today, but I want to tell you that today I accepted a job offer of 150K. So it's just it was music to my ears. And so that's what a coach or a mentor can do. So sometimes you think that I know everything. Yes, you know everything, but getting a help can always be good.
Absolutely. Now, your website, it's mindtalksmatters.com.
That's correct. Yes.
All right. I'm going to put all your links. I'm going to definitely put that link in there because that kind of opens the door for everything, your books, your coaching. And you have a YouTube channel too, right? Is it
Yes.
Rahul Sharma?
It is there. I've promoted it, but just all my interviews I have uploaded on my channel. Yes.
Is Sharma a common name in India, or
It is. It is. It is very common. Very
have you
common.
heard of Robert Sharma?
Yeah. Robin Sharma. Yeah. Yeah.
Robin Sharma, yeah. I read his book twice, The 5 a.m. Club, and I did it for actually 3 months. I loved it. So,
Amazing. The Monk Who Sold a Safari was one of the
yes.
bestsellers.
Yeah. Oh, my God. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, Raul, I really appreciate your time. I'm going to push people to you because, like me, you want to make a positive impact on other people. It's very fulfilling to do that and bring people on board because we got one life to live, and why not make it abundant? And so you're spreading that message, and so I want to help you do that. And man, you've really done it. And so once again, I appreciate your time today. If there's any final thoughts, give it. And otherwise, we're going to be hanging around for a little post briefing.
Thank you, Cliff. The final thought would be just be good and do good to people. Life is short. Don't keep grudges, and just live a very positive life, and exhibit positive energy to people you interact with.
A force for good. I want to get that hat. I'm going to make that up. All right. Rahul Sharma, you've been fantastic. Thanks, everybody. And if you're watching and or listening on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. All the links for Rahul will be in there. And if you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, subscribe to the show because it tells the computer people are paying attention, then they'll spread the word. All right. You know I love you.